Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Now, let's hear it for our special guest host, Stephen Davies.
Welcome to the Activity Call. I am so fired up to be hosting today. I appreciate the trust as always when Andy lets me host something. What I want to share today is something that I know will help. When we start out in this journey, we're very clear that we need to sell. Right, we're very clear that we need to sell policies, that we need to sell clients, that we need to sell them on letting us come into their home. We're very clear on all that stuff. But what happens sometimes, we forget that the whole thing is about selling. The whole thing is about selling. It might not feel like that, right? And that's where we get a little off, right? We'll sell a client. We'll sell a policy, but we also got to sell that client on keeping that policy. We got to sell that client on giving us referrals. We got to sell that client on doing annual reviews and moving their 401ks. We got to sell them on giving us more information so we can help with more things. So it's not just that initial sell, but then in building, we got to sell people. We got to sell people on joining our team. We got to sell them on the alliance. We got to sell them on who we are. We got to sell them on what we can do. We got to sell them on the possibilities. And then once they're on, then we got to sell them to go sell. We got to sell them to set goals. We got to sell them on pursuing bigger goals. We got to sell them on building a team. And I say that because sometimes folks are like, they can sell in the field, but then they can't get anybody to do anything. And I'm like, but what you're doing in people's homes is the same thing as what you need to do right here with this agent. Like, none of my people do anything. But you got to sell them on doing things. You got to sell them on trying harder. You got to sell them on believing in themselves. Even our whole thing, right? Have fun, make money, make a difference. We got to sell people on those concepts. And you say you shouldn't have to sell people on have fun. I agree. You don't have to sell everybody as hard on having fun, but you do got to sell people on having fun. You have people, it's like before they get here, it's like their whole raison d'etre is to be the wet blanket in every situation. And you have to sell them on, hey, let's go, have fun. I'm an easy sell on fun. I'll be found making jokes at, viewings at funeral homes or pre-op. Not always jokes that play well, but, I do try hard. It's easy to sell some people on having fun, but some people you got to sell on having fun. You don't have to sell people on making money. Yeah, you do. You do. How do you know that? Look at how many people you'll bring on your team that have so much crazy potential, right? They'll work a job 70 hours a week to make 45, 50, 60, 70,000. And then they'll come here and just do the bare minimums to do that amount of income when they could just take that same effort and create something massive. So you got to sell people on all these concepts, make a difference. You got to sell people on being bigger than themselves. Because otherwise what? You can make $250,000, 300,000, just, a few days a week, sit at home, not really help anybody else. We got to sell people on all these concepts. We got to sell people on events. The biggest sale you and I have to make over the next 8 weeks, it's only 8 weeks, by the way, until National Boot Camp. We got to sell people on getting a National Boot Camp. We got to sell people on getting people to National Boot Camp. We got to sell them on not just getting a ticket, but getting a plane ticket, getting their butt there. That's the biggest sale we've got to make moving forward. Think about this family reunion. It was crazy predictable. Our app count has spiked over the past 3 weeks coming out of family reunion. It's the single most predictable thing in the business. So why wouldn't everybody just come and bring all the people they possibly can bring? Because we've got to sell them. We've got to keep them moving. What we're talking about today is creating movement. That's what selling is creating movement. That's what we get paid to do. That's, by the way, what pays the most is getting people to do stuff. Getting people to move is the highest paid profession. That's why you can make so much money selling, recruiting, and building. That's why that's where the money's at. So I've got 3 guests with me today. I'm going to work through each of my 3 guests. And then we're at the end, I've got some basic selling concepts, basic people moving concepts that I'm going to share at the end. I've got guests at each part of the journey because here, by the way, this is a journey, right? I'm 23 years into the journey, right? Some people are brand new in the journey. So I've got a fairly new person on the journey with us. Janet Brush out of Texas is the number 8 rookie in the whole country in the Alliance. And so when I see someone come on, I think about this, right? I don't like not winning. It's not that I'm competitive. It's just that I much prefer winning. And when I don't win, I often become upset, furious, and extremely motivated. So when someone new comes on and starts killing it, like, use that as fuel, right? Like when Andy Riddle came on, right, and just started passing people right and left. at first I was like, oh, but then I'm like, okay, let's go. Right. So if you've been here a while and Janet has passed you, what I want you to do is just light that fire. Right. If you're brand new, I want you to look at Janet and go, hey, brand new people can come on here and tear this thing up if they just do the following. So Janet, you've come on strong. You started seeing your name, and it's like most of the time you see people's name, and it's like an app. Then they don't do anything for 2 weeks, and you see another app. Then they don't do anything for another week, and then you see another app. It was just like Janet, like you were coming on strong, number 8 in the country. So the way we prep this, everybody, is they've got things that they're going to share, practical things that have helped them in their journey. That's why I wanted people at different parts of the journey. So Janet, I'm going to listen to you. I'll ask you some questions. I know you've got some things to share. So tell us, help the people out there. If they're brand new, how can they win like you're winning? Maybe if they've been here a while and they hadn't really reached in and found that depth yet, what could they take away to go, okay, I'm going to get on that path too. So what do you have to say, Janet?
That's a really loaded question, Stephen. Super loaded.
Questions are more fun.
I feel like anytime somebody asks me a question about what I do now, I'm like, my mind just goes, that everything's a loaded question now. I'm like, I could speak about it for hours to really try to get someone to understand how my mind's working, because there's so much to it, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of people don't realize that they are willing to work harder for someone else for a set pay, even if they're working overtime, right? Like they'll work overtime at other jobs and work their butt off. They'll come here and they'll sleep in, or they'll be like, I have my 5 appointments. I went to them and I went home and I didn't have another one like early because they didn't have any more on the calendar. I'm like, what? Like, that's just not how I work. You know what I mean? I think if that's you, then, you want to like change that mindset and be like, I'm going to work harder for myself than I have for anybody else ever in my life. That's probably like the main thing.
So on work, I love what you're saying, because, most people, they'll work to alleviate guilt. Right. And that's that. Well,
yes.
I booked 5 appointments instead of working to create something worth creating. Right. And that's what I see in you. You're not trying to work to just alleviate guilt. Like, okay, well, I did make some dials. I did book some appointments. You're like, I'm going to get to the result. And I love that. Keep going. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're totally good. I think that, I have like I have a responsibility of getting my daughter to daycare in the morning. And I know that just 2 years ago, I didn't have that responsibility. So I know that can be a struggle of people maybe that don't have children or whatnot, but people need to find whatever it is that they need to do, whether or not the first 4 appointments they book on a Monday are, if you got to do this, then you do what you got to do. The earliest you can get on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the latest you can get on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's in your calendar. I mean, whatever you got to do mentally to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. I work Monday through Friday. I work from home on Monday. I know that I have to have all my leads in, and if not, my leads dialed at least once before I leave the coffee shop on Monday to pick up my daughter. I know that if I have everything and put it in my system and how I work, then I know that I can literally walk around my house and cook dinner and stuff and be dialing a second time. And I'm not kidding you. Like,
look, time out. You can't do 2 things at one time.
I do like 5. People have seen it. I've had other people sit in on a dial session with me, and they're like on my iPad watching me as I'm cooking. My daughter's going over there, and I'm like dialing, and we're both on mute because we're just holding each other accountable. Like Maddie, one of the girls, she'll be like dialing, and I'll be like over here doing all this. And then when we have a success, we take ourselves off mute and share it. You know what I mean?
I love it. So right there. So huge practical tip. If you're not dialing while you're cooking, you're falling.
What are you doing?
You're falling behind.
I'm not saying don't spend quality time with your kid, but to me, if you haven't set up your week or at least a full day the next day on Tuesday, then I'm doing what I have to do that Monday evening to at least fill up my day on Tuesday at very minimum. Even if I got to call for 30 minutes just to get 2 more appointments Tuesday, then that's just my goal. Like, I've worked all day to try to fill up the whole week, but if no matter what, my goal is to just keep calling until I at least try to fill a full day on Tuesday. And if I've got little gaps in my schedule that week, Tuesday in between appointments, I'm working on filling those gaps.
So another huge strategic thing there, it's actually one of my points I'm going to talk about later, like having in mind what you're trying to accomplish. You hear she's not just going for a dial count, right? Because that would be like working to, soothe your conscience. Well, I made 250 dials. No, it's dialing to get, it's the result. The result that you're after. I love that.
If I don't have, if I've dialed and exhausted any leads that I currently have, I work a little different too, and I'll explain that. We might not even be able to go into all that today. Too much. We'll go down a rabbit hole. But yeah, like sometimes people are like, in the beginning, they'll tell you dial this many, maybe your closing ratio on appointments is lower, but you can just reach out to people that are killing it on the phone, get better faster. And if your excuse is because you just don't have the time, if anybody's ever reached out to me, I've never said no to someone. Yes, sit in on a call. Like, I'll do what I did with Maddie, and you can listen to me while I'm doing 10 things at once, so you can get better faster. Because if you have less time, don't let it use it as an excuse. Like, no, like, figure out, work smarter, not harder. Getting to $300, $500 to get the appointments you need. Maybe you don't have the ability to do that, and that's your excuse why you're not getting it. But if you haven't reached out to people on the leaderboard and you haven't watched them do it, not just been told what to do, and you haven't said, hey, I want to listen to do it, then maybe that's the miss, for the new agents that aren't getting where they need to be or getting better as fast as they need to be getting better, because it's not about just the count of phone calls. I don't have to make as many calls as they tell y'all to make, because I've literally been listening. It's like anytime I get off the phone and I didn't get an appointment, I'm like, what could I have done better? Oh my gosh, and because I don't have that kind of time to dial, to be honest, I just don't. So I just had to get better at it, or be more aggressive with going, I've dialed. I've exhausted the leads. I need to know by 3 p.m. if I need to buy more leads. So that way, at bare minimum, I can get them in my system before I pick up my daughter, and I can at least dial the new leads in the evening. But you got to know by time, because you can't just ask, get them. Well, you can, but the way I get, I actually personally just ask for them and figure out where I need them strategically and stuff like that. And that's just how I work. But that goes back to like the same effort. Like, I know that I work, 8 a.m. to 5 or whatever my last appointment can be to get my daughter by 5:30. And then sometimes on Monday evening, I dial if I have to, or the ability if I'm able to. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 of the days I work late. And then the other 2 days I have to pick her up. And some people could just do one evening. But I do suggest try to squeeze in one evening, just because it does give you the ability to kind of like get to those other people that aren't available during the day. And if you can't do that, that's fine. But you should be working whatever hours that you've time blocked to work. Like, nothing should be getting in your way. Like, pretend you're going to an office. Do you think your kids can come and bother you during that time unless they're sick and you got to go pick them up from school, right? You've time blocked it. Just because you're self-employed doesn't mean you are more leisure with, well, I'm self-employed now, so that's why I have this advantage to do that. No. You're not there yet to get the fruits of the labor, right? Like, you have to get there first. So like owning a business, people that own a tire shop, or you own some large, humongous corporation, I'm sure in the beginning, they didn't just take off time like they've been doing it for 10 years, right? So to me, I'm like, the only time I'm ever like off, I think maybe one other time, but normally it's just because if my daughter's sick and I have to take her to the doctor, is the only time. And I think one of those times I even Saturday. It's like,
okay, I see.
Even a bad week for someone with bad closing ratios, if you're working, you're going to make enough money likely.
I love it. I love it. So just some huge tips there. So one, get around people that are doing what we do. If they're doing it at a higher level than you, get around them. They're doing something you're not doing. They're not lucky. Low performers love talking about, oh, they're just lucky. It's just not me. Bro, go learn how to do this. It is a learnable skill. That's like some of the stuff I'm going to share later. It's just skills, and you can learn it. So get where the fire is. I love the other tip there. She said, I want to make sure you heard it. I need to know by such and such if I need to get more leads. Like that's massive. If you don't get the result, get more leads. Like it don't go, well, I call all my leads.
Doesn't mean you can't work the old leads, but I want appointments. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be working those old leads throughout the week anyways, all the time for the rest of my life. It's just.
And work like you're going to get fired if you don't. Because guess what? We're not going to fire you, but your spouse might fire you, or your landlord might fire you, or, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody's going to either discipline thyself or be disciplined by others, right? So that's what you're doing. I love it. Thank you for sharing all that good stuff. And I know you're out there winning and winning for your daughter. And it's going to be awesome to watch your continued growth, because you guys, she's not just selling, she's building a team too. Right. On top of all of this, on top of all the things she's got going on in life, all the things she's having to take care of, she's getting all that stuff done. Thank you for your example, Janet. And
thank you.
Keep killing it.
Thanks so much. I think I just hit 6 months too. Yeah, like 2 days ago. 6 months. Yeah. February 21st, I think it was my first day. Yes.
If you've been here 7 months and you're not bigger than Janet, I think we gave you some stuff that'll help you get there. Awesome.
Thanks,
I appreciate it.
Steven. Bye. I'm gonna have to log off because I gotta go drive.
Light them up. All right.
Have a good one, y'all. Bye.
Cleo just came on full time, and I knew it was going to be a problem. Steven. I knew it was going to be a problem for other people. You know, it's one of those people like Cleo had a big time corporate job, and this right, and I'm going. Yeah. She was full time. She would destroy this thing, and now she is. I don't want to steal your thunder, but Cleo came on full time recently. This is another group. So I wanted Janet to talk to the people that are brand new, or if you're less new than her and she's past you, like, hey, I want to give you something so you can go out and run at a high level too. So I want to talk to another group, and those are the recently full time. Now, let me tell you, the recently full time, like nobody stresses me out more than the recently full time. Nobody. I'm telling you what, because there's a casualty rate there. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want any casualties, right? Because what happens is they had a full-time job and they were selling on the side, and then they go, well, I'm going to sell full-time now, and then they go full-time and they sell less than they were. And then they go, well, it just doesn't work. This is not going to work. It's like right. So I want you to talk to those people because Cleo's full time, and she didn't come on full time and do what she was doing before. She's having double digit paychecks, by the way. So Cleo, I know you got some stuff to share. I'm going to listen. I'll probably interrupt you a few times with some of my questions, but light us up.
Oh man, Steven, thank you so much. This is crazy. First, thank God. God is amazing. He's the head of my life. So without him, I could do nothing. I also want to thank God for Fine Light, my previous employer, because if it wasn't for them, I would never have been on a business trip in Dallas, Texas, and I would have never met Andy. I mean,
such a thin thread. It's so beautiful. I love it.
It literally is crazy. So, I mean, no shade to Fine Light. They did me well for a long time. But yeah, coming in, I worked part-time really, coming into the business. And honestly, this new transition for me is so massive because like you said, I've been pretty much committed to winning for my life as long as I can remember, just on the edge of like always and so doing this full time is just scary, because I had a choice.
Could say something scary? Nothing fun happens until you're a little bit scared.
That's true. Good point. So I just kind of want to dive in. Like really, a couple of things for me is just this has been a faith journey, literally, because, in my home, like my husband's great, married 27 years, I have 2 grown children, full-time, track coach, I'm a professional drummer, full-time corporate, management. It's just been crazy in my life for a lot of years. And so to go from all of that, very financially chill, not comfortable, pretty much do what I wanted to do, to go from that, where I'm pretty much the income comes from me, the biggest portion, it is a massive thing. So really where I'm at right now is I'm just committed to winning. So that's it.
And you are winning. So
thank you.
Share some bullet points with us. Share some things that you're doing that are helping you win. Because here's what I want, Cleo. I want people that are thinking about transitioning to full time with us, or sometimes you get fortunate and get fired.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yes, I'm going full time now. So in case that happens to them in the future, I want them to have some takeaways. Or maybe if they're struggling with their full timeness, just give them some bullet points because you're killing it.
Thank you. So 1, just be committed to success, deciding what you're going to do. For me, I can't fail. Failure is just not an option for me. And so it has to be either that decision for you or not. For me, I can't financially fail, emotionally fail. I don't have time for all that. So it's just go and do what you need to do to win. Give it 100%. Like, Janet just said, it's so important. It's like I put all that effort in. You put so much effort into something else that's not giving you the residual of emotional, financial freedom that you would get doing your thing and having the wheel, basically. So personal tips for me, it's like I have a personal drive and a work ethic that I think is a little bit different maybe for some, but I think the most important thing is just working, doing the work, right? There's a quote out of the 8 Steps book that Andy had, I think it was like in his foreword or whatever, and he said, pray like the outcome depends on God, and work like the outcome depends on you. That's literally the key. You have to do the work. So I work like I have a regular job. Literally, I work like I still go to Fine Light. And then I just keep pounding it. 1 door knock at a time, 1 more phone call, 1 more dial, 1 more conversation at the gym. I just booked another appointment this morning at my workout for 2 Saturdays from now.
But you're not allowed to sell people unless they mail in a lead.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
Nope.
They either have to mail in a lead or be a referral from someone that mailed in a lead.
And I think that's the miracle of me. Like, I just started buying leads. That's something that I just want to encourage you guys out there. I just started buying leads. Literally, I just went on a subscription when I went full time a couple of weeks ago, and I just started working them this week. So all that I've done literally has been not just people that I personally know, but people I've met. I just go and door knock and talk to people, and you're in the driveway or your garage door is up, I'm going by. I'm going to see what you're doing. If I see a garage door up and I'm driving, I literally will park to the other end of the street, get out, walk, get my stuff, and act as if I've been just going around the neighborhood. And I'll go straight up to them. And that's literally how it works. I have an appointment today, literally, it happened that way.
I just I see what happens out in the world, right? And I just saw all the scaredy cats hide under their desk.
Be scared.
Scared people have skinny children. Just know that.
And then the other thing is just schedule and consistency. So just get up and get after it. That's for me. Again, keeping the same schedule that I had when I was commuting. So I don't sleep in. I still get up. From the moment that I got laid off, the next day, I was still up doing what I needed to do. So I get up, I do my daily devotion and prayer, I read, I go work out, and I have my schedule already from the night before. So I decide, what am I going to do the next day? Like, what is the next day task? So For example, if I already have talked to some people and it wasn't a dial lead, it wasn't a lead, it wasn't a dial, but it was an appointment that I made, I may have to do that appointment. What am I going to do in between that time? What am I going to do before that time? How am I managing my day? So I get that. And then if I'm on dials, I dial. If I have appointments, then I take my appointments. I do talking to people everywhere. I was telling Mimi, who is incredible. She's my leader. Thank you, Mimi. You're amazing. I wouldn't be here without her, literally, because I would have already quit. That's true. But my mouth is my activity book.
Say that again and explain what you mean.
My mouth is my activity book. So my activity is me just not being afraid to talk to somebody.
I love it.
That's it. So activity happens that's not necessarily scripted. Like I did dials, I got the appointments, I did that. This is it. I could be in the grocery store. I could be at the gym. I could be at church. I could be coaching and have one of the, it could be anything. And somebody's going to know what I'm doing. Yeah. And I'm going to see how I can help them.
I feel like if someone dies without life insurance, I feel like you should have to wear a dunce cap at their funeral.
Well,
hey guys, it was me. It was me. I'm the one that had the license and didn't say anything. So
yeah.
Just want y'all to know why you're getting foreclosed on. I'm a coward.
They choose not to do it. It's like, what do you say, Stephen? You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. So
no, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach it karate.
That's true. That's true.
I love it. Hey, I want to point out one more thing here. So here's the thing. If you get passed by someone, like think about this, and this is crazy, Cleo. I know it's crazy, but this is true. There are people that have been here much, much longer than you that either haven't even gotten up yet. Dear God. No. Yeah, I mean, hello, you'll be dead soon enough. You know what they call that thing in a coffin? It's actually called a couch. Okay. Seriously, there's plenty of couch time in your future. Don't waste it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, or they're just kind of like moseying on. Let me get on that activity call. I'm supposed to. My upline says I'm supposed to. And it's like, it's no wonder you're going to get passed, man.
Oh yeah, you're going to get passed.
She got a 3-hour head start on you, and she's on the West Coast.
That's right. I'm not. Awesome. I am just not. I tell my clients, literally, I tell people, I don't have time to play. I'm not in here. I don't have enough time to mislead you. I don't have enough time to lie to you. If you want it, great. Like, if not, I'm moving on to somebody who does, because there's too many people out there that need what we have. We have the literal best system ever. You can't fail if you do the system, if you pay attention, accountability, coaching, that is incredibly important. For me, I've always been the coach. I've always been the go-to. I've always been a manager. I've been here for so many years. To come into a situation where I'm super vulnerable now, like, oh, okay.
Lean into it.
Yeah.
Run into the storm.
Literally. Yeah. Go ahead. You have a question?
I was going to say, you're seeing some common themes here between what Janet shared and what Cleo shared. These are things that will help you absolutely sell at a higher level. Yeah. Cleo, thank you for your example. Yeah. Thank you for your energy.
Thank you.
The positive energy you bring to every situation. I've been on the sidelines, not hoping that you would lose your job, but just hoping you come full time.
Oh, man. Hey, Stephen, I want to say thank you to you guys just for being so supportive. The system is incredible. Andy's great. He's been phenomenal from the gate and linking me up with Mimi. So I'm just really grateful. Make the decision. One last thing, and Mia Fennell said it at family reunion, and it's something that I stick with this. It helps me in times of uncertainty. I made the decision, and she said making the decision calms the times of uncertainty. So if you've made the decision, you've made the choice, it's the right thing, just keep pushing forward. No matter what, just keep pounding the stone, keep getting the work in, and the results, what do you guys always say? Let the numbers owe you, right? Just keep doing the work. So thanks for the opportunity again.
I love it. Thank you, Cleo. Awesome. All right. So now we had Janet, who's brand new, Cleo, who's newly full-time. Now we got one of the OGs on our team. Jeremico's been selling at a high level for a while. He is number 2 in the country with us, and the gap between 2 and 3 is significant. So he is leading, building a team. They got new width coming on. So Jeremico, I know you prepared a few points to share, because here's the thing: like you can sell in the beginning, you can go recently full-time, but how do you sell at a high level for a long period of time? So share some stuff with us, brother. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Awesome, man. Well, Stephen, thank you for having me on. Man, it's phenomenal just to see your growth and to see all the new width you got coming on in directs. And, we're just trying to mimic that here on the Edwards team, in the visionary group. We're just trying to mimic that. And so, I've been around for, over 10 years, and it's just, I've been blessed where people in the alliance actually say that I'm consistent. And I'm like, okay, I will take that compliment, being consistent. I mean, can you imagine if somebody said, you are a roller coaster? Like, hey, we love Jeremico Edwards. He's a roller coaster. It's like, I'll take consistent all day. So give me that compliment of consistency. I will take it. And so I just got a couple things that help me with consistency. And these are things that you can adopt. Because it took me a minute to grow into these things, but these are things that just came to my mind that I knew I had to do. And plus I've been around. And so it's just, I've messed up a lot as well. So I'm going to give you all the things that I've done over the years, and you can implement them this year. So it don't have to take you all the years that I've been here in order to get good, but you can just implement everything I just say, and trust me, you'll hit the top immediately. And so first, I do want to remind everybody that Coca-Cola sells Coca-Cola to people who drink Coca-Cola. So selling is the answer, right? Whatever you're trying to get accomplished, whether it's production or recruiting, you have to learn how to sell. And so when Coca-Cola advertises, they're hoping that people buy more Coke. They're hoping that people who are not drinking Coke, they hope that they drink it, and they hope that people who are drinking it buy more. And so when we talk to people, like whether it's sales or recruiting, even if they're ambitious, right? Like I got a guy on my team, Kevon. He was ambitious, young man, writing business. I had to sell him on going to convention. Even though he's young and ambitious, you go, wait a minute, he's young and ambitious. You had to sell him on convention? Just like Coke sells to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola sells to people who drink Coca-Cola. I had to sell a young, ambitious man on going to convention because he didn't know the importance of it. So I had to talk it up. I had to sell it. We never want to get tired of selling. And so once you get that concept in your head that everything is sales, and you just got to let me just get that in your head and go, okay, I have to talk it up. I have to sell it. Then these tips will make better sense to you. So here's how I was able to be consistent for 10 plus years in this business. And just, like this year, we're headed for a record year this year. I'm already next week I have one Cabos, and then I should be finished with the extension. The end of October, November, somewhere around there. And so, man, these tips work, and I still implement these tips. So tip number 1, taking all the training you can. Taking in all the training you can. So your first year in the business, so whether you're on the different levels of the new people that Stephen just had up, whether you're brand new, whether you've been in for a year, whether you're part-time, you need to take in all the training you can. You need to be engulfed with everything that we're doing. So like these calls, any boot camps, any trainings near you. The scary part about not coming to trainings is you might miss something. I'm at family reunion. So keep in mind, I've been here over 10 years. I'm at family reunion, and I'm looking at Mike Leventovich on stage, and he's going over all of the different carriers and what we have that they don't have, and all the different companies. So he's going over the different IMOs and what we have compared to them. And I'm like, man, if I wasn't here to hear this, I'm so glad I was here. I had to get my butt out my house in the plane to sit there to get that information. You go, well, you could have got it anywhere else. No, like I needed it then. I needed it live in person. So that's why I was there. So
so you can watch that stage talk, by the way, and you should watch that stage talk now. But being there live is different.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like a fireplace on a TV. Y'all know how you can do that, right? Have a fire on. So cool to look at, but guess what it can't do for you? Make you feel warm. That's being live at National Boot Camp. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you good. Yeah. Yeah, so you want to attend all meetings, like getting to shake Andy Albright's hand. If you're on this call, the question is, when is the last time you shook a billionaire's hand or a multimillionaire's hand? If you've been just in your neighborhood, just talking to regular people, it's like you might need to get out of that area. And so your first couple of years in this business, you need to do everything you can. You need to pay whatever money it costs to get out your house, get out your neighborhood, and get around the winners. You need to learn how to do this business. And so that's what I did. I spent a lot of money on conventions. It's like I've made it back 10, 50 times over. But it's like back then when I was doing it, it was hurting. I was like, man, why do I keep going all this? But now that I look back, I go, oh, it was my growth as a person. It was my growth as a producer. It was my growth as a recruiter. And so that's number one. Number two, you got to read books. Every time I don't read, my production tanks. And when Steven told me that years ago, I was like, man, I can't believe I got to read in order to keep my production high. So I'm with you. Like, if you listen to me, you going, man, I got to read to keep my production high. This sucks. That's what I thought. I hate when I miss a couple days or I miss a day and it's like my production, I can't stand it. I don't even know the connection. Steven never explained to me like, well, here's why your production tanks when you read. I don't know why. All I know is when I read, my production is high, my money's high. When I don't read, my production tanks. I don't know the connection. I hope you never ask me. All I know is if you just implement reading, your production will be higher. It's stuff in those books that you don't know. It's stuff in those books that you should have learned a long time ago. It's stuff in the books that, that other people want to know. And now you know it. So somehow it gives you an advantage. So all I know is definitely reading books on a consistent basis will keep you consistent. All right. You want to set a goal to win every trip. When I first won the trip to Punta Cana, so here I am in the Alliance, everybody's winning all these trips. My first trip was Punta Cana. When I first won that trip, I said, I will never miss another Alliance trip again. And ever since then, it's like the minimum I'll do is miss a trip. So even if I'm having a bad year, I'm going to miss the trip. So now that has become my new minimum. That takes me into the next point, which is set a minimum threshold for yourself. In order to be consistent, you have to say to yourself, no matter what, if the earth crashes, if the economy tanks, I am not going below this number. I am not going below 100,000. I'm not going below 50. I'm not going below 200,000. Whatever your minimum will be, and your minimums will raise the better you do in this business. But you need to have a minimum and say, no matter what happens, I'm not going below here. And that'll help you to be consistent because at least you're hitting that minimum. And then, the better you get, you're going to hit that minimum and you're going to keep growing from there.
Yeah. You should have a growing floor.
Yeah.
Because you're getting better. Otherwise, you're staying the same. That don't make any sense. Why would you stay the same? Staying the same is the same as going backwards. Mm-hmm. It's like forcing yourself to use less intelligence than you have because you're going to keep growing. So keep moving that floor up. I love it.
Yep. And two more. You want to beat your own record every year. So, just what Stephen was saying, you want to beat your own record every year. You want to take advantages of ways to grow. So like every time Andy will say, hey, there's a meeting here. Hey, if you fly in here, anytime there's something like that, I'm there because that's an unfair advantage. So you go, with Jermica, why do you say it's unfair? Well, because some people I know they aren't going to feel like going. They're going to put other stuff as priority over their business. They're just going to be like they're going to have other things in life that they feel like is more important than growing their business for their family. That's not their family. It's just extra priorities. So it's an unfair advantage because I'm going to go get the information and I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to grow to where I want to grow to, and then they're going to look at me and say I'm lucky. But it's just an unfair advantage that I took. Any opportunities to get around Andy or Steven, or any opportunities to get training and learning, you know, I'm going to get it. So it's an unfair advantage because everybody can't do it. Everybody don't want to do it.
So
that's all right with me.
So to not do that stuff, right? Like, so the Dallas estate planning thing,
yeah,
you know about it.
Yeah.
To not take advantage of it, that would be like playing Chutes and Ladders. You play Chutes and Ladders as a kid, Jeremy? Go.
No.
No.
No. I grew up playing like spades, card games, you know, big wheel spades.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Chutes and Ladders, the way Chutes and Ladders works, it's a board game. You move through the board, and there's these spots you can land on that's a ladder, and it lets you skip stuff. Like, I love Chutes and Ladders because, especially like there's one big ladder that lets you skip all the way to the top. So to know about events that Andy's going to be at, that other, you know, of Andy's inner circle are going to be at, and to not go is like landing on the biggest ladder on Chutes and Ladders and being like, nah, that's okay. I want to experience the whole game board. Not me. You don't got to tell me twice. There's a ladder. I'm on it. All right. We're playing Chutes and Ladders in Cabo. Anybody wants to? We'll have a big Chutes and Ladders tournament. Well, at least we got to. I'm gonna buy you Chutes and Ladders and send it to you just so that you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Play it with the family. All right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it blows my mind whenever I play Monopoly. It's like somebody will land on the property and they'll go, "Nah, I'll pass." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What? Why would you pass on that? You crazy?
Why don't you just give me all your money right now?" It's just gonna be. You want the pain to be short or long? Because if you don't buy that, I'm going to dominate you.
I will buy it and dominate the board.
And then I'm going to mortgage it and buy more. All right, sorry.
Yeah, you good. So last point. You want to ask the right questions to the right people. It blows my mind how people would just ask the person that brought them into the business. It's like, if the person that brought you into the business ain't growing and they ain't doing what they supposed to do, you have to find who's doing what. If a person is better at production, you talk to that person about production. If a person is better at recruiting, you talk to that person about recruiting. So you find who's good at what, and that's who you ask. You need different coaches and mentors in your life. And so understand, you know, some people, like if you're on this call, you may love your parents, but you cannot take all advice from your parents. You have to find the people who are where you want to be in different areas. Like I wouldn't ask my mechanic business advice. He has one shop. I'm asking him about my car. I would not ask him business advice. The owner of a pizzeria, I wouldn't ask this guy about marriage advice. Like it just like, so you got to find the people who are where you want to be and ask the advice. And that's, you know, I remember standing outside of the agency manager. This is before I became agency manager. I remember being outside of the agency manager room and going, man, after this meeting is over, the first agency manager to come out this room, I'm talking to him. Now, the first one happened to be Fitz. You know, I ended up asking him some questions, but it's just like, I had to have the willingness to stand outside the room to get the information from the people who had the information, because I wasn't an AM. I wasn't an agency manager. So it's like, who can tell me how to get to AM? Now the goal is different. Now it's just like VP is my goal. So it's like, who can tell me how to get to VP? That's the person I need to be around. I can't be around, the AM, an agency manager, and ask them how to get to VP. Like, it won't make any sense. All I can do is listen to what they say. I can talk to them, but listening to what an AM says on how to get to a VP, I mean, it logically doesn't make sense. So get around the right people, ask the right questions to the right people. And that's all I got. You follow those tips, you'll be good to go.
And let me tell you something too. The right information people are harder to get around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like in National Boot Camp, there's going to be someone that has not achieved at a high level or hasn't grown for years. I'm great at predicting the future. That's one of my skills. And they're going to be in the hallway or the back of the room while someone on stage that is actually winning is teaching. So which is easier to do? Well, it's easier to be in the hallway with Dum Dum. And he's going to explain all the reasons it don't work. What he's really saying is, it's always, I was thinking, like, people would just say what the truth is, we would behave different, right? Instead of saying, so you got to think about this and that. Like, just say, well, I have no ambition, and quite frankly, don't think I'll ever have any ambition, so I do self-defeating behaviors, like, for instance, being out here in the hallway. Like, if you had to tell the truth, you behave different. Awesome. Love you, bro. Appreciate you sharing this. All right. So now here's some basic selling concepts that can take people and help people move. Okay. I'm going to share some basic things with you. Okay. So one is, let me just draw this out for you. I'm hoping this works like I think it's going to work. Aha. Oh, I just want the regular whiteboard. All right. So there's two things that move people. One, consequences. Two, identity. The least effective way is to always sell through consequences. And we can do that in the appointment, right? If you don't get this life insurance, you're going to end up on GoFundMe.com. How embarrassing. If you don't buy this life insurance, your wife's going to lose the house. If you don't buy this life insurance, like, that's consequence selling. The more powerful is identity. The consequence is, if you miss national boot camp, you're going to be further behind everybody. Identity is, you got to be at national boot camp. That's what leaders do. That's what winners do. Now, when you really want to be effective, you use both, but you use consequences to move into identity. Why do you want to do that? Because identity is the thing that will keep them moving when you're not there. Here's the other part. Consequences are, in the mind of the person, optional. He said, that's not true. Yeah, 100%. How many people are going to do something dumb today because they think they may not deal with the consequence, right? It's the same thing in the house, right? When the client says, well, we just want to have something in place in case something was to happen. See, they think that the consequences is somehow maybe not going to hit them. Whereas identity, we get life insurance because that's what good people do. That's what husbands who love their wives, that's what they do. That's what wives who love their husbands, that's what they do. That's what parents that love their children, that's what they do. That's part of their identity. I am a leader. I am at events. And I am in events, and I'm about the event, because that's what leaders do. So when you're trying to move people, we tend to reach for consequence, and we can start with consequence, but what we need to do then is marry it with identity. Consequence or identity, consequence to identity, we get it started, and then we keep them moving. And once you've got someone thinking in terms of identity and how their actions are tied to their identity, you've got something you can always call back on. The same thing with raising kids. If you only raise kids, if you try to lead your kids only with consequences, guess what? There's this little thing called getting away with it. I have never experienced this, nor would I try. But consequences, sometimes you get away with it. Identity is the better mover. So when we have conversations with our kids and we're trying to correct behavior, we do let them know there will be consequences. But more important, how is this behavior in line with the values we have as a family? See, that's identity moving. Consequence, identity. If we always reach for consequence, which by the way is easier, moving people from identity is harder, right? But if we only do consequence, we're going to be less effective. Identity. All right, now here's the other thing. I was going to draw this out, but there's two different thought processes, right? Most people think this is how moving people works. It's inform, analyze, act. Meaning I give you information, you analyze that information, and then that information will move you to act. That is not how it works. The flow is this: see, feel, act. In other words, when I'm selling, and this doesn't matter whether I'm selling a policy, selling someone on joining the team, selling someone on the team to Start reaching a little higher, dreaming a little higher, selling someone on getting back to chasing their goals, selling someone on getting to the event. I've got to help them see something so they feel something so they act. And so when I teach the sales part, right, when I teach the in-home and I talk about situation evaluation and I talk about, them picturing themselves leaving their spouse's funeral. See, that's see, feel, act. Inform, analyze, act. It does not work. It's the same reason we say stories, facts tell, stories sell. You got to help people see something so they'll feel something. That's what will make them act. All right. Third thing, clarity dissolves resistance. Clarity dissolves resistance. When someone's resistant to doing something that they need to do for their own good, it is simply because of a lack of clarity. They lack clarity on the issue. They lack clarity on the fact. It's just like going back to the in-home, right? And the in-home, when it's like, well, we want to have something in place in case something was to happen. They're not clear. They don't have the clarity that they are going to die. And when that happens, what will happen? The best salespeople create clarity with that. The low performers, they go, oh, okay. Yeah, in case something was to happen, we need to have something. And then they go, why does everybody I talk to got to think about it? Right? Clarity dissolves resistance. Now, let me tell you where clarity comes from. Clarity comes from contrast. So clarity comes from contrast. You have to tell stories. You have to create contrast in people's minds between who they say they are and what they lack, right? Unearth incongruencies, create movement. I taught that in Miami. You have to help people see the clarity between I want to be a leader. So being in the hallway during an event, that's not, I'm not resistant to it once I'm clear on that. Now, creating clarity through contrast requires using powerful words, soft tones. That's how you create that contrast. So that was number 3. Number 4 is have a plan. Don't go into an interaction hoping it works out. Every single sale, every single recruiting appointment, I've got to get this guy to convention. We have to go in with a plan. The low performers, they don't have a plan. High performers have a plan. How do you build a plan? It's very simple. In this interaction, again, whether I'm trying to sell a policy, get someone to join a team, get someone to national boot camp, because God, if we don't get a national boot camp, they might not make it. See, I'm clear on that. Does that make sense? I have zero resistance to getting people to the event because I am clear on the fact if they don't come to the event, they ain't gonna make it. Right? I'm clear on the fact if they're not in the event and about the event, they're probably not gonna make it. I'm clear on that. So that's why I have zero resistance to that concept. But having a plan, what do I want them to know? What do I want them to feel? What do I want them to do? Having that plan so that the action piece is at the end. One of the things that's very helpful as a visual, help people create destination postcards. I promise you with Jeremico, early on, I was helping him create a destination postcard, winning the trip, going agency manager. Destination postcards help people get out of their apathy, right? How do you make today better? Have a compelling tomorrow. The reason most people's todays never get better is because they don't have a compelling tomorrow. That's all about creating that destination postcard. That's my plan when I'm trying to get someone to move. What's it going to be like when they get there? Because if they don't have that destination postcard, what they have to give up in the interim to get there is going to seem like too large of a sacrifice. So what is that destination postcard? How do I create it? Number 5, power of sameness. People do things that they perceive people like them doing. It's the power of sameness. It's so funny. That's why everybody thinks they're an individualist, but they're all dressing, talking, and acting like the other individualists in their echo chamber on Facebook. I'm an independent thinker. I'm an independent thinker who likes to talk with a group of like-minded people that all think the same. Whereas human beings, that we do what we perceive people, or we do what we see people that we perceive to be like us doing. So that's why, like, if you look at Andy, one of the genius things he does is he is able to connect with people and use that power of sameness. Right? Me and Jared Miko, we're the same. We don't have any differences. Oh yeah, no, we're different people in a lot of ways, but we are the same in this and the other, and we use that power of sameness. All right, number 6. Good news, bad news. Use good news, bad news. When you're selling, here's the bad news. The bad news is, so like, let's say you have a client, they're 58. They come to you, they want to do tax-free retirement plan, but they're 58. Don't hide the bad news. Bad news is we're 58. Okay. The good news is we have today to get attacking this. When you're moving someone from term to permanent, bad news is it's going to be a lot more expensive. Why? Because now the insurance companies know there will be a claim. But the good news is we now know exactly what we're going to be committed to for the future. The other good news is we know that there will be zero wasted money on this. Good news, bad news. Why would you hide the bad news? Let me tell you how people's brains work. If you don't tell them the bad news, if you don't tell them the negative part of it, their minds are going to be searching for it the whole time you're talking. So when you lead with that, like, hey, bad news is we're going to have to throw a lot of money at this to get you closer to retirement. Then their brains don't look for the bad news, so they hear what you're telling them. They receive it. Right? I receive them, right? Because you just let them know right off the bat. Bad news, here's the good news. Bad news is your previous advisor lost a lot of your money in the market. Good news is we can now get you to safety. We can't get all that back, but we can move you to safety. Right? Bad news is you just got licensed. Good news is there's a hospital in town, right? Whatever, use that bad news, good news. When you lead with that instead of hide any of the negative, then they don't look for it, and now they listen, right? Address it, get it out there. All right. Number 7, nearly there. Use nearly there. Nearly there means we're almost there. Right? Think about this, and this is a study I was reading. They did an experiment. They gave people an 8 punch card for car washes. Once you got 8 stickers, then you got a free car wash. They also gave a separate group a 10 sticker car wash card. However, they gave them 2 stickers to start. The statistics were crazy. The amount of people that got the free car wash on the 10 card with the 2 stickers versus the 8 that had none. It was the same 8. The same 8. Yet, the ones with 2, the head start on the 10, they got the free car wash at extremely high rates, and they got it quicker. So nearly there. Use nearly there when you're trying to move people. If I'm moving from a lead to a sale, I'm going, okay, great. So the good news is I've got most of your information most of the information we need I already have, right? So I just need to get a few more things, and we're nearly there. People will finish stuff that is started faster than they'll start stuff that isn't, even though it's the same. It's just the way our brains work. Don't argue with it. It's like gravity, right? I take a step off my roof. I'm not going sideways. I'm going down. That's how gravity works. That's how human nature works. Same thing. But think about bonus points, right? How many people win the trip because they got bonus points for going in NatCon? Okay. Well, I'm on the way. It's crazy how it works as human beings. So always when I'm trying to get someone to move, I'm trying to think of a way to help them feel that the process has already started. I'm nearly there. And number 8, always use odd numbered lists because they're more convincing. Oh, guys, I'm telling you what, National Boot Camp, this is vital. I'm closing with this. What you have, what I have in terms of personnel at National Boot Camp, that determines what you and I can do in 2025. What we assemble in the next 8 weeks and convene in Orlando, Florida on October 18th, that is going to determine the arc of the possibilities of 2025. So in case you can't tell, I am running with some crazy paranoia right now because I want 2025 to be the best year in the history of my family. I want 2025 to be the best year in the history of your family. And so what you and I got to do is put more people in Orlando, Florida than you and I have ever put at an event. That's the paranoia I'm running with over the next 8 weeks. Come running with me, guys. Holly and I, we love the Alliance. We love the team. We love helping. Can't wait to see everybody in Orlando. I'm traveling. I'm going to be in Salt Lake City. I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to be in Dallas. I'm going to be in Detroit. TheAllianceEvents.com. Look at where the other top leaders are going to be. Guys, we've got 8 weeks. This 8 weeks is everything. All right. Love y'all. See you later.